video, there was like one button that needed to be clicked. Yeah, so sorry for the inconvenience, guys. Little bit of a rough start, but yeah, we'll get into it here in just a minute. Make sure let me know, guys, if you guys can hear us, if there's an echo, and if whatever we can do to help fix that. Just a minute. So make sure should be fine though. So give us a thumbs up, and then once we know it's good, then we can jump into it. So I'm listening to it now. It's fine. So give us a thumbs up, and then
fine?
once.
Yeah, can you hear me properly?
So I'm listening to it now. It's fine. So give
no
us a
echo,
thumbs.
right?
Yeah, keep going. Go ahead and talk.
Okay, so blah, 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 1, 2, 3.
Still echoing. Why is it echoing?
Okay, so blah, 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 1, 2, 3. I'm getting some messages that there's
yeah. I don't know. Guys. We'll be back. I don't know why this is happening. Not working. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not fixed. Man. Well, okay, so somebody says no echo. Somebody says it is. Okay, stop it. Tell me what's up, guys. It's either working or not. Just Ash on. Okay, everybody says good. Vimal, go ahead and talk. Just make sure it's good from you.
Okay, is it fine now? Can you guys hear me? Fine. If there is any still echo, just let us know.
Okay, I think it's good. It's hard to tell too because there's a delay. There's like a 30 to 60 seconds delay on the stream as well. So by the time they hear it, it's
okay.
It's a little late too. So okay, everybody says good. Okay, good. Yes. All right, victorious. We figured it out. It's actually quite complex to get all these things going through here because it's yeah, there's a lot of different like things feeding into my computer. And since Mac is a little bit different from PC, the PC is a little bit easier actually for this. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're a little late start, but that's fine. Hopefully, you guys we can join in. We can keep going. First and foremost, when you guys have questions, make sure you let Joe know. We're gonna go through it. Vimal's here. He's gonna go and drop some awesome science in regards to Zbrush and his workflow and all that awesome stuff. To recap what I was saying in the beginning, I found Vimal's work from just browsing on Instagram, which I often do before I go to sleep. And I kept seeing these posts come up, and I was like, wow, these are really amazing. These are really great. And so we started talking on Instagram, and I sent his work along to Momo to bring him on here to the stream because I thought it'd be awesome, and he was kind enough to share his time with us. It's 3 o'clock in Thailand where he's currently at, so he really loves us to spend time with us right now. So let's give them all a round of applause. Yeah, I need a sound box for this. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, let's I guess let's dig in. We're a little bit late. I apologize again, but yeah, let's dig in and yeah, let's maybe you want to just maybe introduce yourself to everybody that might not know who you are and kind of what you do and why you do what you do.
Yeah, like I'm a digital artist. So basically, I've started working as a professional for like 6 years. In 6 years, yeah. So the best thing I like about my field is this is what I like. This nobody's forcing me doing this. I'm enjoying my work. So I mean, how do I say? Like, it's really difficult for me to explain myself. Yeah.
You just like to create, then, right?
Yeah.
That's that. I think that's it. Can you do me a favor too? Can you move your? I think you're using your laptop. Can you move your laptop down a little bit so your head's a little bit higher? There you go. Perfect. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Actually, portraits are my passion. I mean, I have been doing since childhood. Like before, I was used to make portraits. I can like share the screen. I can show some of my stuff. Like this is my 3D stuff that we're showing right now.
Yeah, this is
So
you did
yeah,
traditional art as well prior to this. I guess what
uh,
you would consider traditional, non 3D based stuff. I guess.
yeah. Before this, I used to draw a lot. I mean, I was especially into like doing portraits, drawing heads, and I can share some of my old stuff. I mean, that I have. Let
Yeah,
me check.
yeah. If you want to share your screen, and I'll pop it over, and
Yeah.
everybody can see it then.
Okay, so this is okay. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Let's see. Yep, can see it. There we go. Let me go to view
So
enter full screen.
these are some of my work when I started. Like before, like this is when I didn't have any knowledge about anatomy. When I didn't even was in this field, then only started drawing. But for me, sculpting, I didn't even, or like you was can in say, this field, just the then only started drawing. Uh, but for I was me, into head sculpting, I didn't even, or like you was in this field. Just these are the ones. Then only started drawing. These are some of my sketches.
Hmm. This
Yeah,
is
these
just
are
like
like,
pencil.
yeah, this pencil is very very old. So I used to draw a lot and mostly portraits like this. And
Awesome.
yeah, then I joined, like I did, my background is I did a software engineering for like 3 years.
Hmm.
But the thing is this, I did, my that was not for me. I mean, engineering. I was the worst student in my class, the worst.
You're the
So I thought
worst.
like, yeah, I was the worst. I mean, so I thought this is not for me,
Hmm.
and changed my whole career and I joined a small institute there in New Delhi.
Okay.
There I just there I learned just like small software. There I learned Photoshop there. Then when I learned Photoshop, I started painting on Photoshop like this, and mostly caricatures, something like this. I
Oh,
wanted to
like
like,
like Sebastian Kruger, like that guy. That
yeah, yeah,
artist. Yeah, he's pretty awesome,
yeah,
huh? Yeah.
yeah, man, like that. That's really good.
He does some
So,
workshops too. Have you heard of those?
no, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, he does workshops. Pretty awesome. I had a friend of mine. He went and did one of his workshops. Said it was amazing. Yeah, that's cool.
That's good. I'll check that out.
Is this digital or are you using like pastels and stuff?
This digital, I did that in Photoshop.
Okay.
So back then, 2010, I used to like, I was into head, so I started. I wanted to find the essence of the character.
Hmm.
So I thought like doing caricature is the best thing to
Hmm.
find the essence and like put that into a sculpt, or if you're doing a painting, that's the best thing.
Yeah.
Then then I started like when I learned Zbrush, then I started sculpting like portraits in, I mean, quick sculpt in Zbrush like this, these ones, and something like this.
Hmm. When did you start using ZBrush?
I think in 2010, 2011, I guess, that time.
2011.
But yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Yeah. How long did it take you? Was the learning curve for you to get into using ZBrush?
Learning curve, like it took me a while because I'm not good in technical stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, maybe 1 or 2 years, I guess. Cannot really say about this. It's difficult to.
Yeah. It's all good. Yeah. And there's some Tyrion Lannister. Are you a fan of Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah, especially I have my Jon Snow is here.
That's awesome. Do you have a 3D printer at home, or do you go and have it sent out to get printed?
Like takes separate service for that because like I think they do like better job in doing that.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, they have like industrial printer, so that's better. They produce much better quality as compared to like normal printer, desktop printer at home.
Got it. Nice. Let's see.
They also After
So
some time, like switched to sculpting, like realistic sculpts and painting, and doing studies, that kind of
how
thing.
old are these studies right here?
This I was doing this in like 2012.
Oh, there it is. I see the date. Sorry. There's so much stuff going on. I'm trying to make sure like the stream's working and people are hitting me up and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna focus on this. It seems like everybody said the sound's fine, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm just being cautious that it wasn't. So yeah, hopefully that works. That's cool that you're showing that. Hold on. When you share the full screen, it goes back to me, and then it's just me. So I'll just put it back to your website. Um, but no, it's cool that you started in traditional because I think oftentimes I see people just jumping straight into going into 3D. Do you think it helps to have a foundation in traditional medium, like learning how to draw and using a pen and
Yeah,
paper on 2D? Does that help? Does that help the artist ability? Do you think?
what I think it really does. If you're a sculptor or if you're like wanted to sculpt heads and all, I think this is really important to have a like good traditional background. It really helps. I mean, if I'm sculpting anything, I'll have that what do you call it? That flow in my mind. So it gives extra edge if I'm doing anything. I mean, if I'm sculpting hands, the gesture drawing, if you're doing that, it adds life to your sculpture.
Hmm. So it helps. It infers one or the other. So yeah, that's
Especially
good.
if you're doing sketching, that really helps.
What is it about sketching that helps the 3D process? Is it using your mind in a different way? What is it about it that you think helps?
I think it gives you it lets you focus on like overall feel of the character.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're just how to explain it. I mean, if I am if I'm drawing a hand,
Mm-hmm.
if you're if you're directly jumping in sculpting a hands, so what happens is that it will lose the flow, and the lines is very important in drawing. You know that. So it really helps to add the gesture in the sculpt, and subconsciously you know that there's something wrong in the sculpt. It really helps that way.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think maybe just the way that you're able to see it and change the forms in your mind really helps you perceive the depth and all that stuff, right? So that practice of kind of going through that creative process, I think, are deciphering objects. Is that what you're getting at? Being able to
Yeah,
understand how they really look and form.
yeah, exactly. It's like
Awesome. Yeah. People are mentioning how much they love the Ryu figure that you did. How did that come about? The Capcom thing that you did?
yeah, I can. I have some of the shots here. Okay, so
Let's see. Pass the screen back to
yeah,
you. Yeah, so how did this project come about? Did Capcom reach out to you or did you do it and then it was like a passion thing or how did that all come about?
actually, the company Connecticut. I think I pronounced it right. I think yeah. So they contacted me on doing this. So they just saw the work that I did just for the heads, and they I think they trusted me on doing that because they thought that her head is head is the hardest part.
Hmm.
So if this guy can sculpt head, so if this guy can like do the other things also.
Okay.
So they put the faith on me, and I did that. So this is a printed version, I mean painted one.
So is it a 3D print or is this
This is CD print.
yeah, awesome. Very cool. And then they softened it out and painted it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Did they make molds of this and then do more or is it just one?
this is a mold.
Awesome.
This is not
Cool.
it's 3D print.
Is this one of the first things, one of the first times you did a process like this, or have you done this in the past?
So I mean, like your 3D printing that you're talking about.
Yeah, manufacturing from a 3D print to a mold,
I did
then
this before also.
What's that?
So this is, I did that before also.
Okay,
I
cool.
mean, this is,
Yeah, it's nice. And did you use a lot of like the Capcom Street Fighter kind of art and stuff for like the Guile and stuff like that, or even
yeah,
for?
I searched for like the basic references that I need to follow. I mean, the character should have the essence of Ryu and essence of the evil Ryu, but I wanted to give him his own look, a different look. It has to be realistic,
Hmm.
and it has to be semi-realistic. It should be in between. So I tried many different types of faces for doing that, and at one point of time, I thought like this is going well. So I talked with my client. So we discussed about this, and we had some changes on that. Then we finalized it.
Awesome. Did you use like a particular actor or a blend of actors or people that you've seen
Yeah, I did
references?
actually. Yeah, for Rio, he has like he doesn't have pure Asian look. He has some mix between races.
Hmm.
So I had to find different references for him. I mean, some Asian, some like American, and I tried to blend in between them.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I think the last time we spoke on Skype, because I was asking for some advice on a project that I was working on, and you had mentioned. Here, I'm gonna take this off the full screen. Let's see. You had mentioned that your approach to doing these models isn't necessarily having an orthographic, but having multiple different photographs from different angles with different
Mhm.
expressions and
Yeah,
being really cautious and aware of the lens that are used when taking a photo. You mentioned like some photos
yeah,
are, you know, some images are coming from a lens that's a wide angle, so it distorts the form and all that kind of stuff. You want to talk a little bit about that?
yeah,
Your approach
definitely.
to like research and stuff, and because we're gonna get further down to the pipeline and stuff. But yeah, I'm curious to see. Let me just share this
So
again.
like this is random images I found on internet about focal lengths and all.
Cool.
So yeah, so you can check how much like if you how much difference it makes. There's a 350 mm lens, so too much like between this image and this image, it has too much distortion.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to copy exactly, if suppose if you have this image, let's suppose, and what I have seen people does that people try to overlay images like initially they try to overlay this image, and end up getting frustrated because they are not going anywhere. What my approach is like you have to analyze how the face is. Is it like square? Is it like rectangle? And try to find the that image that has less perspective. I mean, so you have a general idea about how the overall skull will be. If it's like wide skull or more skull, like you can see here,
Yeah.
the effect is,
The natural lens, I think, that matches the human eye is around 40 to 50-ish, I think. So
yeah,
usually 50 is the lens that I use when I do portraitures personally. But I also like a more telephoto because it kind of flattens it out a little bit as well. But yeah,
yeah,
because look how much dimension shift is on like the super wide angle.
yeah. Sometimes what I do is like sometimes I find stories in between in the photos itself. Like if suppose if we take this picture, so
Yeah.
I- if we get random picture, so you can also know that this lens is taken from like far away because you're not supposed to go close to these guys. So
Yeah.
that kind of, I mean, there is so much in each picture you can grab as much as possible. It's like puzzle.
Hmm.
Like faces are like puzzle. So you have to find the what do you call it? Find the clues
Yeah.
in each picture and combine them and form one. You don't have to rely on each picture.
And you're kind of putting it together. So you're thinking, okay, that guy was using a telephoto lens when he shot that one
Yeah,
because he had to be.
yeah,
He's probably the person that shot that probably was using like a 150 to 350 or something like that to get that
yeah.
close from that far away. You have a couple wide angle ones and then some more natural lenses too. You can also judge a lens by the aperture too, and how it, the way that it kind of softens things out too, from what I've noticed as well. Also the lens distortion, of course, but yeah, or the vignetting and stuff. What lens do you think was used for this? How would you gauge this in your approach to understanding where this fits in the range of lenses?
Actually, like I don't focus much on the. I mean, what kind of lens is used. I just check overall how much distortion the picture has.
Okay.
I mean, I'll just try to find that picture which has less distortion. So I would get an overall his head, like overall shape of his head sculpt. I might find some. Like, so if suppose this is the image, okay, so if people try to match this image and try to overlay it,
Yeah.
it's not gonna go anywhere. And like you see the ears are right now going inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's squeezed in, so that means it has so much perspective, and you cannot just like take this picture and use it. But best thing could be you can use this part.
You just using that
Yeah,
middle section, just use that because that's the one that's not distorted as much.
yeah, exactly. And I think the side view, if you get a very very good side view, that helps a lot
Yeah.
because what is that like the silhouette that you get is like an answer how his like face should be. I mean, if you look at anybody's side, it will have very less perspective distortion.
Mm.
Even if it's taken from close or even taken from far, it's gonna have less distortion. So you will know the placement where are the eyes are, where are the nose are. So you'll get an overall idea of the placement of this thing.
Ah, interesting. You want to maybe open up one of your files and kind of break down maybe something that you've made and then your approach to. I have a couple specific questions, technical to a lot. You can do some more explanations, obviously, but yeah, I just watched this movie actually, the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and it was really quite funny. I was like really surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
loved
quite
it.
entertaining. Yeah, and, yeah. I mean, it's silly but it's fun. It's like fun entertainment. It's
Yeah.
cool. You're using
So this is
your laptop right now, right?
yeah,
Okay, cool. Just so people know. I think a lot of people think that you have to have like some kind of crazy supercomputer for this stuff. So I imagine your laptop's probably somewhat powerful, but yeah.
yeah. Like the current one that I'm using is quite powerful that I can work, but uh, so this is the like it's not completed yet.
Hmm.
I've mainly focused on the major forms like the big volumes and
Like
the
the
secondary
nose,
one.
the eyes, lips, and chin, and cheeks and
Yeah,
stuff like that. That's the big volumes that you focus on mainly. Do you
yeah.
start
And
off with a base mesh, or do you just work from a circle, sphere, or something?
I I used to work with a circle. I mean, before when I was learning, but then like in order to speed up my process, I started using base mesh. So usually what I do is if I'm done with one sculpt, then I'll take the last sculpt and just sculpt over it and just convert that one to another heads. Yeah.
You just push and pull until you get the general shape, and then do you use a lot of clay brush tool, or what's a couple of your brushes that are your go-to brushes? I know that's probably an annoying question to hear over and over, but I imagine that's probably something that needs to be answered eventually. So some of your go-to brushes. Well, I think from my understanding of how I use ZBrush is you use different brushes for different times of your stages of creation. I don't know if it's the same for you. What's your approach?
Yeah, I mean it depends upon like particular area. Like usually I use standard brush and some move brush, and if I'm going usually move and clay brush, I mean clay buildup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use that, but my important one is this one, like standard brush.
The
Because
standard brush.
what happens with other brushes, like you have to smooth a lot. If I'm using clay brush, so it will like destroy my upper layers. Like
The clay buildup brush does because it has a harsh fall off. Is that why?
yeah,
Hmm.
is it this one?
Oh, you got a lot of subtools in that.
Yeah,
60 million polygons. Man,
this is
that's
my
madness.
face is my face is like 25 million.
Wow, that's
Actually,
crazy.
I was sculpting beer in this.
It looks really good though. Like it looks just like him. You managed to get his likeness really well.
Thank you.
Do you usually like to start with the eyes when you go into this? Because like the eyes usually are somewhat the portal, right?
Actually, I go randomly. I mean, first thing that I do is focus on the overall structure of the head
Okay.
and just place basic cheekbone. And I don't try to match with photograph. I mean, I just don't overlay photograph initially,
Mm-hmm.
because what I think is I mean, if you're overlaying in the start, so you have it's like answers. Like you are trying to see the answers before even like trying it.
Mm.
So it won't train your eyes. You have to like study, study the reference and grab as well information and put that in skull and move forward. And after sometimes what you can do is you can just you can just overlay. I mean, and check if you're going in the right direction.
Mm.
Just don't take the direction like what your overlay will does. Just try to gain as much information, and overlay is for checking. Overlay is for placement of like if the eyes are good, the nose are good, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So do you have two monitors when you normally work? So you have one with a reference and then one that you're working on?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Usually it used to.
And you're constantly looking back, and then you have your folder of all the references. How long when you set off to do, like, let's say when you're, I forget the actor's name, this guy, but when you go off to work on something like him, how long do you spend pillaging Google for all the images? A couple hours?
I think yeah, not couple of hours. Like I mean, this is when I saw the movie, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Then I just like when I was watching the movie, like I had to scout this guy. So I just like went home, searched for half an hour. I searched for the references. Then I just like wanted to go into it. Don't want to spend much time on collecting references. But but you should find more references. Better is good.
More
But
is
for me,
better.
it's like
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very impatient guy, so I just wanted to go and sculpt. So what I do is like I grab some couple of the references,
Mm-hmm.
just like block in, and after blocking, I mean, then later I'll find more references and I mean, go ahead with the sculpts. So this is some references that I got.
What was one of the key references that you used to kind of really match his
Yeah,
likeness?
yeah,
That right there?
yeah.
It's got to. Did you sculpt while it was blue the whole time? Because blue reflects differently, obviously, than the white pinkish skin tones, and it.
Usually I sculpt in, I mean, basic material.
Okay,
This,
cool. Yeah, because that probably helps a lot more.
Yeah, and I use lights a lot. I mean, to check the forms, different
Okay,
angles. Yeah,
that's cool. That kind of helps you tell just the overall sense of what you're creating. How often do
yeah.
you move the lights around when you're working?
I mean, a lot. I mean,
Okay.
it gives you a different perspective, and sometimes you don't see things normally. So I also sometimes I try, like, if I find some images of different lighting,
Okay.
so I'll just change the lighting according to the image. Like, see, let's just example of it.
Sure. Like a three-quarter view,
Yeah,
and then like a harsh edge on the left. Takes years, I think, to connect your hand and your eye, and to be
yeah,
very aware of because at this point now you're just kind of looking at your realities and shifting them as much as possible and making sure that they connect. And you're getting
exactly.
really good at. Do you find that when you're now that you have this skill, do you look at the world within range of ratios and scales and stuff? Because that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're fact checking back and forth between the source
Yeah,
material and what it is that you're creating.
yeah. Usually, like when I find like interesting faces, when I like go outside, sit in a coffee shop, see people. So even if I'm like looking the side reference, if I'm checking those guys from side, so I'll try to imagine how they will look from front. So it gives a bit, and when then I wait for them to turn their face, turn their heads,
Mm-hmm.
and just check in my mind if I'm how close I am, what I was thinking, that kind of thing. So it's a good practice for me to see and train my mind.
Yeah, that's cool. What are some of the things, the key things that everybody should know in ZBrush in order to be great at it? What are some of the key things that you must know in order to be great at using this program?
But I think ZBrush is pretty straightforward. If you're a good sculptor, uh, you can just grab with like you can just sculpt anything with clay brush, and there is no Dynamesh and standard brush. So I think you don't have to really rely on software. You should be able to because like now, right now there is Oculus Medium, so I think people are really doing really good in that also. But I don't think software really doesn't matter.
Okay, but it's kind of I guess it's like the carpenter and the nail, right? You need both of them to
Yeah,
build the house. So, and they're both
yeah.
kind of like the carpenter can't be the nail, but the nail
Mm,
can't be the carpenter, but they both together make the house. So I guess because I used to say that all the time, like you don't necessarily have to be an expert at all these programs, but sometimes it does help to
yeah.
understand. Is there a key thing that really helped you bridge the gap between being a novice with the program and then accelerating your growth, like understanding alphas or understanding the brush tool, or is it just literally just practice, 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 and just getting familiar with the practice and the pattern of it? And was there like a tutorial or somebody that taught you something that was like a game changer for you, a resource that you had?
Actually, when I started doing this, I used to study like Andrew Loomis.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I read his book, so I was really interested in the lines, and I saw there are some couple of images of the different faces, of different expressions. From that part, I used to draw a lot at that time,
Uh huh.
and I checked just with simple lines how was like he was able to portray different faces. So I was trying to find like what is the best, how is it like because I used to see so many fat pads. There are so many like bony part. There are so many different things. I was very confused at that time.
Mm-hmm.
How does it work? I mean, that guy's drawing an average head, then there's guy drawing a different head. But each head has its own characteristics. But how this guy is doing that.
Mm.
So did a couple of research on that. I tried to like draw as much as possible before sculpting heads. So I think, and I think also the doing practice is the main thing. If you like
Practice, constant
practice,
practice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, lots of. I don't know how many heads I have done because yeah, because when I got a job, so after like we spend a lot of time there in the studio, then go back and I just start my piece computer, then I do the heads and heads, nothing else. Like if I didn't get any success, I just like scrap the head and start a new one.
Mm.
And I don't know how many heads I have sculpted, and there are like so many bad ones, so many, but it's just a learning because you suck a lot.
Yeah, it's easy for us to look at your finished product or look at the file you're working with now and go like, oh, it must be easy, you know, because we're looking at the final result of 10,000 hours or whatever it might be of all the failures that you've went through. But that's what's interesting though, because we can all learn to be as good as we want to be. It's just a matter of how much we want to learn, you know. I got pretty serious into ZBrush when Alex Vagini released his class. I took his class and well, most of it, the heavy ZBrush part of it, and but the problem I had is that like if I didn't use ZBrush for like 2 weeks, I totally
Hmm.
forgot how it worked again. So I didn't set those really deep habits of just the key commands and how things worked in the program and the flow, and now when I have to go back into it again, I have to really devote time to go back and relearn everything, and it's quite an errand. I think it'll come back a little bit faster this time, but um, yeah, it's not an easy program for me personally, and I've noticed a lot of people. It's like almost a whole different language. I think that for my mind, I can draw pretty decently and I could create likeness, but it's the program that gets in the way for me personally. It's not intuitive for me, and it has all kinds of weird language that I don't get. But it's
And
something that I just need to learn, you know. So,
initially, when I started, yeah, I can put one point is the perspective in ZBrush. I used to struggle a lot. I mean, how much I should put, how much shall I? Because when I press off, it looks different. When I press add perspective, it looks different.
mm,
So it took me a while to like train my mind to adjust with the perspective.
mm. Yeah, I usually turn perspective off when I do these things just so I can keep it as straight as possible. But I wasn't going for likeness, so but with my next project, as I showed you, I am trying to do likeness, so that's going to be interesting. Um, where do you usually get your reference? A lot of great questions are coming into the chat, guys. Keep them coming. I got them all stacked up. I have a couple other questions I wanted to get through myself as
Yeah.
well, so we'll get to them though. There's a lot of great questions coming in. You got a lot of fans, man. A lot of people love you, so this is great. Yeah, and I'm glad we got
Thank
the
you.
audio figured out so we could do this properly. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Where do you normally get your reference? Is it do you just search Google, or is there a particular place that you find is better than others?
Yeah, I think the first step is like I just Google it
Mm-hmm.
and just try to find the large images as much as possible. So I get information about that and pick images with good lighting. Then second option I tried is like to go in more depth.
Mm-hmm.
So just like I just search for normal images, and I mean so that I can have better views, even if they are small, but at least I have some different kind of uh, views and all. And also there is one more thing. I collect all type of references. So it's not just not like that. If the guy is like 30 years old, so I won't collect the guy's age for 40s if he's in 40s. You
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
So I all the references because what you can do is you can even there is so much age difference. You can grab as much information from that particular image because uh, suppose if the guy is like 60s,
Mm-hmm.
at least you'll have a basic idea about how his nostrils are, how his eyes are. It's just that he has the same bones, same bone structure, but because of gravity of the skin and all, they are like they're bulged down like because of gravity. So what you can do is you can try to fix it. You can just pull those kind of things up, and you have other references of the particular image. I mean, particular age that you want to sculpt, and just and combine all things.
Awesome. So just the way that you're using that and then using it from different ages and stuff. I think it's just a matter of the amount of time and hours that you've put in. You're just finding all the ways that works to get the best result for your own self. And I think that's really cool because you're finding your own like ways of extracting information to support what it is that you're creating. The other question I had is when you first started this, I imagine you're probably quite slow getting to like a finished stage. As you've learned to get faster, I imagine, how long does one of these, let's say like John Lennon here, for example, from start to finish, what's the duration that you expect to finish like a likeness sculpt in right now in these days?
Okay, so this is the sculpt. Actually, I have a base mesh. So pretty much what I get is I get a basic skin texture. I generally don't focus much on the skin texture because that's the least thing I bother. I try to work as much as possible on the like big forms and the secondary forms.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you see, if I close in, these are just like the same noise. There is not much going on here.
Mm.
So for this kind of thing, it took me a day, and it was a practice sculpt.
Awesome. A day is
so
what, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours?
I think 9 to 10 hours, I guess,
9 to 10
including
hours.
the hair and the likeness,
And the glasses
and sometimes
everything.
and it's a tricky thing. Even if I'm saying this is done in 10 hours, if I sculpt another guy, it could take me, I mean, a week or 2 weeks, because likeness sometimes pretty much like you want to kill yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens.
How do you keep
Sometimes
yourself from wanting to kill yourself when you work on these kind of projects?
I just stop it. I stop it and try to switch it, like calm my mind.
Mm.
Just go like just go something else, then get back to it with fresh mind and see what's wrong in that. That's what happens, that when you're working on the same thing, your mind tells you that this is correct. This is the correct way of doing things.
Awesome. That's cool. That's a good way of approaching it too. Just like switching your frame in your mind and everything. That's why for me personally, I usually have at least 2 personal projects going on at the same time. Because when one burns me out, I jump to the other one. I do that, and then I learn a little something from this to take it to the other one, and I get excited back and forth between the two. Usually helps me. When I was in college, I used to paint or draw something. I'd get frustrated with the drawing. I'd always go to the next one, and then I would come back, and I'd just juggle between the two. Do you do something similar then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I switch a lot. I sculpt 2 or 3 heads at the same time. So once I'm bored with one, I just switch it to another.
Awesome.
And keep on switching.
The hair is what I want to talk about too, but there's a lot of questions, and one of my questions is, when I go to sculpt this and stuff, and we talked a little bit about texturing XYZ and your approach to that with the high fidelity textures and the geometry of the face, the skin pores and all that kind of stuff. It's not even realistic or even fun for me to extract that many polys and bring it in, say, like my other programs like Cinema 4D to do lighting and stuff like that. Is there a way, and I'm sure there must be, I sculpt something like, I get up in like the 30 to 40 million polygons, and is it possible to have extract all that as displacement texture, put it on a lower poly mesh, and then have basically the texture support without the heavy geometry, because the heavy geometry just weighs down the program, but then I can use the textures that is powered by the GPU. Is there a way to do that in order to like not have heavy, crazy 40 million polygon files crash my other programs? Do you know if there's a way to do that?
I think I'm not good in those technical stuff, but I pretty much though there are ways to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can grab displacement. I think you can do that.
Cool.
But
If anybody in the chat knows how to do it or has a link or something, please let me know, because I'm still trying to figure that out. I imagine there's somebody on the internet that's got it all on a YouTube video. So, yeah. So Z-mesh to lower poly mesh. Yeah, Z-remesh. Yeah, I can do the Z-remesh, but yeah, I think it's mostly like being able to extract. So if, let's say, I wanted to extract this, all the pore information and all that stuff into a displacement map, take that and then put it into Cinema 4D or something on the geometry of a lower poly. Yeah, that's the key I'm trying to figure out. So, yeah, awesome. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Who are some of the artists that you admire? Like, who are some of the artists that, when you look online or you look through the books, or somebody that comes to mind that is somebody that always reminds you to keep going or be better? Is there, who comes to mind?
Actually, there's so many. I mean, right now, like there is Gio Nakpil. I really admire his work.
How do you spell
You
his
know
last
him?
name?
Gio, Gio Nakpil. I think so.
Is it a
He's
ZBrush artist or an illustrator? Or what?
Yeah, yeah. And there is Steve Lord.
Steve
I
Lord.
love Steve Lord. He's
Also
like
another ZBrush artist?
yeah, he was actually a traditional artist,
Hmm.
and right now like, he's in. So he's just like a brute force. Just take the mesh and do his magic.
That's cool. So he just takes like a basic circle and then goes and makes it amazing?
Actually, like I don't have any preferred artist. Like there's plenty of artists, so I just grab as much information I get from them. So it's pretty hard to like tell some of them.
Yeah.
But there are so many cool people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Somebody asked how long it took you to do the Ryu sculpt, the one that we talked about earlier. What's the time frame on that, doing that full body? And is that more intense to do the full body in cloth and all that stuff? Obviously, it must be, right?
I think it took me 2 months for doing that, and I was working on other sculpts also at that particular time, and it might be a bit more than 2 months, I guess. So there were so many like ups and downs on that. There's so many changes on that. So we just wanted to make as good as possible. So it was fine.
Gotcha. Cool. Somebody asked, I'm not sure if you would know the answer to this one, but what material is generally used when you did your head sculpt, the 3D prints? Do you know what kind of material was? Was it CR10? Somebody asked.
Okay, the material. I think you're talking about the print.
Yeah, the
material.
like the material that the printer uses to, you know how it works, like constantly going around and building up the form.
I think you're talking about the material that I use in ZBrush, or
No, when you go to 3D print something, what's the
okay,
material that you use?
okay, I have to ask. Like I didn't ask that. I mean,
Yeah.
I use industrial printer. Like I send the file to the guy, and he just do that for me. I didn't ask him this material.
I figured as much. I don't know either, but some people are mentioning SLA resin, or it depends on what printer, I guess, obviously. What's your opinion about modeling with the Wacom Intuos Pro tablet, and do you use it? What kind of setup do you use? Do you use a tablet? Do you use a screen? What do you use?
I have this one, Intuos Medium, and I love this one.
Okay, awesome. So you don't do it on the screen. I have a Cintiq, and I really like being able to do it right on the screen. I felt like when I first started, I started using a tablet, and then eventually moved to the Cintiq, and that really changed my ability to really get closer to what I was after. It seems like you probably bridged that gap already, and you don't necessarily need it, so which is cool. So,
While working in Cintiq, if I am working on the screen, so if I'm doing a likeness, my hands will be on the face, So I think it will be pretty hard for me to sculpt with the references because my hands will be on my way.
they're
And I,
constantly in the way. Yeah.
and I find it easier just to like work in vacuum and then indoors.
Gotcha.
And a quite, yeah, quite screen also, but it doesn't work for me.
Okay. Did you study a lot of human anatomy? Like, do you understand the muscle groups and stuff? And if so, how long did it take you when you were going through studying human anatomy and stuff to understand kind of forms and stuff and to extrapolate? So like when you're doing Ryu, for example, you understand how like the tricep works and how it connects to their other ligaments and forms of the muscles and stuff like that. Is that something that you've spent time with as well?
Yeah, I do that. I mean, I'm not there yet. I mean, it's constant learning. I try to. It's not like I've learned everything. There are so many. In that terms, I find myself as a noob, and I'm still growing in that area. So it's just a constant learning. I cannot say I learned and then learn everything. I try to take my own references for that. I try to find references on the internet. I study a lot for that.
Gotcha. And that's just like, is this something that you constantly are doing tests on? Do you use it like in your sketchbook? Do you do sketches in there, or do you just mostly focus on them inside a ZBrush, like a hand study or a part of an arm or something like that?
I do sketch. I mean, I sketch the insertion. I sketch the overall. I mean, the shape, the contours.
Mm-hmm.
I sketch those kind of things.
Gotcha.
Sketching eyes, sketching hands, sketching legs, and all.
Okay. Another question that came in, this is kind of an interesting one too. I'd like to know how Vimal approaches eyeball size, because realistic eyeball size is 24 millimeters in diameter, but on many of his sculptures, like Jessica Jones, I found it was like 27 millimeters. Could you ask, please? I don't even know how they measured that. Do you know?
I don't do. Depends on, yeah. Always check the face and how I try to see. Like if you check the eyeball, you find I don't usually. I just try to uh, approximate how much will the eyeball,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't usually just like take the values. I don't rely on values at all. I just like do my pure, I mean, approximation. I
Mm-hmm.
work on that.
Based on your own perception.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which I think is probably the best way to do it anyways, because if you try to be so real, you might as well just be a 3D printer, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and I think the thing that we talked about with Sebastian Kruger,
Yeah.
his approach is he distorts and removes and extracts and extrapolates on the personality and kind of pulls the soul out of the artist or whoever he's drawing, and he re-envisions it basically like a remix of their face and their presence, which is interesting. And subtly, even though you're doing like as photoreal as possible, there is some discrepancies between complete reality and non, because you're doing it by eye, which I think and that's kind of the cool thing, like it's not completely perfect, which makes it unique, so and no face is ever exactly the same, because he's aging right now, his cells are degrading, he might have a different expression, or he might have just ate a lot of food or something, or drank a bunch of wine and his face reacts differently, so I think that's kind of the key thing and that's why you mentioned how you grab a lot of different references, because you get so much different information from all these different references, right?
Yeah. Also, the important thing is how it's not about the size. Size should be like, I mean, approximate. You can do the approximation of the eyes, but the important thing is the placement where you put it, from the side, from the front, and you have to see how it reacts with the skin, because there is skin going on the top,
Mm-hmm.
and how, I mean, there are so many, like, what I do is like keep on switching things between eyes, then I work on the nose, then I work on the mouth, then work on the ears. So I keep going here and there randomly.
Bouncing around until you figure it out.
Yeah.
Awesome. While doing likeness, do you do overlays or eyeball to face to sculpt? Do you use like an overlay, or I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
is
as
that a
I
process that you use?
as I mentioned that I do that, but initially I try to match everything with my eye. I mean,
Mm.
as much as possible. As I've already told that I don't want to. I want to see the answers. If I'm directly overlaying, uh, mm, if I'm directly overlaying, so I'm relying so much on this particular image, and what better what will happen is that your sculptures will look good at this particular angle. Because you're focusing too much on this particular angle, but then when you like change the view, it will lose the essence. So just try to capture as much as possible with different angle
Okay.
and get the base. And when the overall head structure is like blocked, and then I go to secondary form, like placing the cheekbone and where should be the mouth and where should be the fat pads and all. So that comes later.
Mm. Gotcha. Somebody asked, and we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, so it might be a little redundant, but they're asking about, do you work in a lower subdivision and then increase, or do you go straight into a higher subdivision and work from there?
I keep lower and you know
Oh, interesting how you cut up the face on the chin line.
I just work on this subdivisions. This one or I can go maximum this. And even if I don't have any skin pose, I'll just make a new layer and just add a noise over all the heads over there.
By using like the regular standard brush and then this like the scatter. Is that how you do it?
You got I can just make a new layer and just add surface noise on it. So at least I'll have some breakage on the skin because I don't like to see a polished skin without anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't like to see this polished thing.
You don't like the polish, you like that texture. So you run a procedural noise over the
There's something there should be something on the skin
Gotcha.
to break.
Somebody asked you I like this question is how did you get your break? You mentioned you're from India. Right now you're in Thailand working. How did you get your break? And then somebody also wanted to know more about like your test that you did for Naughty Dog. I don't know about that, but how was that? So how did you get your break and then doing this test for Naughty Dog? How did that work?
Actually, it went good till the high poly. I mean, it was good. Then I think I fucked up with the texturing part
Hmm.
because I have less knowledge about marmoset and all. So I think it got screwed up where I was like trying to find good result in marmoset and maybe because of lighting and all. So I think there's a point it got fucked up. But yeah, like right now what I'm doing is it's kind of I love it what I'm doing right now in stage what I'm right now.
Hmm.
So it's kind of fine.
And that's kind of like, do you feel like what you're doing right now in your life is exactly what you want to, and that's it? This is something that you're deeply passionate about, and you're just happy to be a part of that.
Actually, this is what I never thought I'm gonna be a actor. I never thought I'm gonna I'm gonna earn money what I'm doing right now. I don't even know if it was. I didn't even know that sculpting head it could be a job.
Hmm.
It was just pure passion because from start I was in the portraits. From start I was sketching only the heads. I was sketching only I was making the caricatures, and I was sculpting the head. So eventually it came up like the point that I'm happy what I'm doing right now.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it will be different. I mean, I'm trying to focus on other stuff also. Maybe I have some plans for the future. I mean, in the couple months, let's see how it goes.
Awesome. That's very cool, man. That's good. I love it when people find their passion and their dream and they fulfill that and they're going for it, because life is too short and you don't get a chance to do these things. You only get one pass around. Well, it depends on what you believe in, but yeah, I think it's really awesome that you're chasing this dream. People are asking a lot about this texturing XYZ process. When we spoke, you talked a bit about how you use the brush alphas and stuff to get the hyper skin detail and stuff. Do you use texturing XYZ, and what's your approach when it comes to using texturing XYZ resources?
Yeah, I don't use texturing XYZ.
Okay.
I mean, I have used once. I mean, for one project.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, like, I use the same base mesh, so I get a basic textures from the same base mesh that I use, because because I projected it on Mari, and I have the same UV, so I can get the same texture on an e-sculpt. No, so as my base mesh is same, I can just like put that on displacement, get the skin texture, and just tweak it with my custom brushes and all. So that works for me. Because as I already mentioned, I'm not going for any. No, I don't focus much on the skin details. I mean, the tertiary part.
Sure.
If I want to, yeah, if I want to focus on that also, but it just like it will take time,
Yeah.
and you can easily do that just taking the textures and all.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I think it's just because we all see the end result and we're like, man, how did he get all that texture on there? But that noise is a cool trick. And then also using those brush alphas that you mentioned last time, which I think is really cool. So a lot of it's just like you're kind of going by eye, because I think Mache was really getting into the ZBrush thing, and he was using the texture and XYZ stuff to really push the likeness and the textures and the pores and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. Alex Godfrey asked how your neck is doing.
It's pretty good right now. I hurt myself while doing exercise,
Oh,
so I was out for like 1.5 months from the gym.
oh, damn.
And, yeah,
Were you doing jujitsu or something like that?
not like I wanted to learn in here, but I didn't get time.
Ah,
So maybe next time I come here, so I'm gonna learn this.
yeah. My coaches, they go out to Thailand a couple times a year, and they do like seminars and stuff out in Thailand. It's cool, man. Yeah, you should try jujitsu
Yes.
out. It's awesome. You definitely got to watch your neck though.
Exactly. So,
Yeah, it's not the best thing. I know it's late. We're not going to keep you too much longer. You guys are amazing. There's so many good questions. People obviously are massive fans of what you're doing. Another question that came in that somebody was asking about, what we kind of skipped over earlier, was what kind of perspective settings are you using when you're using ZBrush to get like your best optimal setup?
usually I keep between like 25,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I keep switching between them. I mean, I try to see if it looks good in both angles. So sometimes I check without perspective to get the overall sculpt. Sometimes I check with the perspective. So optimal, I keep 25. So for my scopes.
Awesome.
This one.
People are asking about too the base mesh that you use. Some people came in late, so from what I remember, you use a base mesh that you kind of move to different projects, and you just move
Yeah,
them around, shift them until you get the
yeah,
general shapes, right? And then you move from
yeah,
there. Um,
yeah.
awesome.
Sometimes what happens that if I'm sculpting, like if I'm sculpting a like African guy, so he has some, I mean, traits of the African people.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to sculpt another African guy or African or something like that, so I will use the same exact guy and just like I mean tweak that one. Like I made Floyd Mayweather. I sculpted him. So after that I sculpted Luke Cage. So I took the same base mesh. Uh, then I moved forward with it.
Awesome. Getting a lot of requests too about understanding the configurations of your laptop. I think people, again, the details, they want to know the details. You have a basics on what your, like the processor and RAM and all that kind of stuff that you're using for your from your laptop?
Yeah, I have like 64 gigs of RAM,
Okay.
and I have like two 1 TB hard disk, and one is like SSD. Then I have like processor i7700K, and what else? I have like 1080 graphic card,
Okay.
pretty much it.
And then the 3D printing stuff, do you have more of that coming soon? Is that something that you're considering doing more of?
Yeah, I'm planning to do more things in the coming months.
Hmm.
So, like people already ask me what material I use for the eyes. It's just like toy plastic, nothing else.
Use what was that?
It's just toy plastic,
Oh, the toy plastic material?
yeah, for the eyes.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then you paint that in, what's that called in ZBrush? What's the painting thing called?
Yeah, just the paint.
Body paint or
It's
something like
just-
that?
This is nothing. Just like normal color.
Yeah. Crazy. Do you, I'm not sure if I think I saw some of it. Do you take your sculpts and then bring them into a different program and then light them and render them, or is it mostly just stay in ZBrush?
Mostly in ZBrush.
Yeah. I'd love to take
That
one
is-
of your sculpts and light it and make it all crazy. You could probably do some crazy stuff with it. Make a crazy skin and stuff, so yeah. Skin and subsurface scattering is so complicated. I really hate it.
Yeah.
Mache got really obsessed with it for a while there. There's a line where the uncanny valley is so hard to cross. I don't even want to deal with it. So go make a robot or like a fake face or something. Yeah.
That's a new thing for me if I'm going there in that direction, because like I purely love sculpting likenesses, so maybe it has become a comfort zone right now. So maybe I'll learn things. I'm trying to learn fiber mesh on this, so let's see.
Yeah. Awesome. Your approach to hair is pretty interesting too. Do you have a particular approach that you use that yields the best results?
Like I already shared, like I have made a tutorial for the hair,
Okay.
and that's exactly what I use every time. How I
You have an
sculpt.
online tutorial for hair that everybody can find?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There you go. Somebody was asking about it, so there you go. You gotta Google it. You can get access to it.
It's normal. Like I try to build the basic form.
Okay.
I mean, like if I'm sorting this, I'll just put this in roll distance 2. This is my like whatever head I sculpt. This is my like basic approach. Like, this is how I use. There is no trick, and this is straightforward sculpting
Okay.
using clay brush. Just going randomly, just blocking the forms. And the trick here is this. You have to understand how the hair flows. Okay. So if I'm doing like this, to smooth it. So right now what's happening is that you have the big volumes that going here.
Mm-hmm.
And later you can just like separate it.
With the dam standard. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're going in and out. What's
Yeah,
the
just
key
like
again for
going-
in and out? Is it Alt or something like that?
Yeah, I saw it. This. But after this, like when you block, see? Then I use or crack, and what it does, it's a really interesting brush. So we'll get a very fine strands. This,
Yeah.
and you can just add over it. But make sure like there should be a big volume Then there should be secondary volume that's gonna break it. If there's the secondary volumes in here, then comes the last one, adding off crack.
Oh, the orb crack brush,
Yeah,
just for the hyper detail stuff.
it's
So
simple.
it's like everything in ZBrush. It's just a build up from something small, build the forms, and then slowly iterate until you get the general sense of it, huh?
This is how you like approach the hair traditionally. It's like sculpting the base, then adding the cutting into different forms, then secondary forms, then you can just add the details. This is pretty much like blocking, secondary forms, and then adding the hair. And if you want to be more, I mean, something like this.
Have you watched the latest War for the Planet of the Apes movie?
Yeah,
Man,
saw
how
that.
crazy was that, dude?
Yes, it's great.
It was
You
incredible,
worked on
right?
it, like yeah, you worked on it in that movie, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty.
I did some concept stuff for the title, but man,
Yeah.
when you look at like Caesar's eyes and the textures just on the eyes, oh man, it's crazy, so good.
Also, like in here, I use some separate mesh.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah, because it gets quite heavy. Do you just do that and then push and pull them?
Yeah, like I just like make some parts, then duplicate it.
Hmm.
And, but you should have at least a good base for the hair. So this is how I sculpted overall. This is sculpt. Adding, then breaking the forms,
Yeah, that's great.
and trying to maintain the flow. And you need to be considered, like you have to consider where your hair ends.
Do you happen to have a
How
time
long
lapse of what you do when you do these things online? I couldn't find one, but I probably didn't search well enough.
for the hair?
No, just general, you like start to finish a sculpt that you do. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna record some.
Yeah, because that doesn't ZBrush have like some kind of recording thing where you could do like turntable and stuff too, as you create.
Yeah, maybe I'll record one for the hair.
You could do like a Britney Spears or something. Oh, they're so
So
good.
these
At
are
this.
the black ones that I extra strands
Hmm.
that gives extra variation to the skin. So is the hair. Like
That's cool. Yeah, that's great. The total size on that file is must be pretty big, huh?
I think it's like 55 million.
Yeah, damn. It's crazy.
It's mostly the hair and the face. Face took like 25 million, and this hair might it's like 40 million.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's pretty heavy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's awesome that you're using a laptop and your laptop can handle all that. I was thinking
that's
about
why.
like, I don't know, 7 years ago or something that's like not even possible, you know? So he's got 64 gigs of RAM. If you just entered, some people are asking more questions about it. Yeah, this is great. We can keep going on. I know it's really late for you, and I don't want you
I'm
to.
like
What's
used
that?
to it. I'm used to it, like staying late.
Oh, okay. This is
Yes.
super late though, man. It's I think it's what 4:30 now out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty late. um, man, is there anything else that you wanted to show or share or talk about before we head out?
Yeah, I can just show the latest one that I'm working.
Please, yeah. I'm sure everybody would love to see it. Oh, did you talk about the perspective on that?
Yeah, I did
Okay.
keep it 37.
He looks good in toy plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is the right now. I'm starting.
that's awesome. Who you think's gonna win?
Odds are all against him. I mean,
Really?
but
You think he's gonna beat Mayweather at boxing?
odds are all against him. I mean, against McGregor.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be a tough fight, but like at last he will win. Mayweather will win.
Yeah. I'm
But then
curious.
I really want him to win. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm a McGregor.
Yeah. I think. I mean, they're both such big personalities. It's gonna be really interesting. Yeah. This looks really great, man. It's crazy. I love the cauliflower ear, man. I have a bunch of guys that I train with that have huge cauliflower ears. Just want to pop them. They're so gross. Yeah.
I saw that like you recently got like purple belt, right?
What was that?
You got purple belt in
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's a pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It looks awesome. And how far along are you on this process with this one?
Right now, like I'm pretty much happy with the nose and with the mouth. I
Hmm.
still have to work on converting to this area. I know there are there's something that I'm missing right now, so I'm gonna try to find it. And rest like I'll try to use fiber mesh for the hair and for the beard and
Hmm.
see how.
The fiber mesh is like a way to do really high detailed hairs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. How did you do the tattoo? Did you just paint that, or is that something that you found online?
Yeah, yeah. I just found a image and I just like projected it here.
Ah, cool. Yeah, he's got that crazy like gorilla thing on his chest. So
Yeah, man, yeah.
yeah, awesome. Let's see. Peeps, we're asking about the ZBrush material that's on the Mayweather head.
On the Mayweather head,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. I mean, it's basic material, nothing else. Mayweather also. No,
That looks perfect. Yeah.
there's something happened here. Maybe it's just some material. I don't know what's happening.
It's just like you need to add some roughness or something. Huh?
This is what I use every time. Basic material, nothing special.
Like a basic material. Just help you with the forms and stuff.
Yeah, I just like go with the lighting and all.
Hmm. I
See
think it
the
looks good too
forms.
because it kind of, for all your sculpts, it kind of removes all the other part of it. You just focus on the forms and the likeness, really.
This one was a practice also, so this one I did in one day. All the likenesses, all the reference correction and everything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
Looks great, man. What do you think is the hardest part to sculpt? I found the ear to be really difficult to sculpt because it's got so much dimensionality.
yeah, I mean, like, but once you get used to it,
Sure.
it's just the second you worry about.
Yeah. It's just practice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. It's just the amount of time that you're willing to put in with the practice and how open you are to, and willing to learn as much as possible. There's so many resources out there, you know. So, um, and people like yourself, obviously, showing the rest of us that these things are possible, which is great too. Yeah, this is awesome, man. And you do your own Twitch live streams as well?
no,
No, you just joined another channel or something?
I'm not usually on Twitch right now.
Oh, okay. I
I
thought you
just keep.
mentioned you had a channel or something like that.
No, no, no. I just like made an account. I thought we need Twitch for that, so I just made an account for that.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was gonna say for people that wanted to see more about what you're doing, how can people keep up with what you're doing? Should they follow you on Instagram or what's the best way? Facebook, Instagram, ArtStation, what's the best?
Yeah, like I'm mostly active on Facebook and Instagram,
Okay.
and yeah, when I like I'm done with the work, and then I post on my art station.
Okay.
So mostly clips are on Instagram, and you can please check it out.
Yeah, I found you through Instagram, and I find that like it's cool to follow you there because you're actively posting progressions and stuff up there, and so I see it in my feed, and it just reminds me that you're constantly working, you know, and gets me inspired to go back into ZBrush and start learning all these things, you know, so or to remember them because I think the difference between us is that you've just put in the time and the effort and the energy that it takes to get really great, you know, which is awesome, and that's really the difference between anybody, really. So like the difference between us and Mayweather is he's punched things a lot more than us, you know. So,
Yeah,
and we'll see if the difference between McGregor or and Mayweather is going to be that one punched more things than the other one. So we'll just see. Yeah, it'd be really funny
like
if Connor just starts ground and pounding him and kicking him and stuff. Right? That's going to be the hardest thing I think for him not to do if he starts getting beat up is to not want to kick him or body slam him or elbow him or something, you know. So, yeah,
I think
awesome.
like he's gonna frustrate him a lot, Mayweather,
Yeah,
and he has to keep his mind calm as much as possible
yep,
because he is like very defensive player.
absolutely. It's gonna be an interesting one. I'm really curious to see what's gonna
Yeah,
happen. But, dude, thank you so much. Please get some rest.
yeah.
Big thanks to everybody that came in the chat. You guys had great questions. I didn't get to all of them. There's so many of them, and a lot of them were honestly a little redundant. I didn't want to keep asking them the same question over and over. Like, hey, how did you texture the skin? Did you texture the skin like this? You know, so you already explained it. Make sure you guys, if you had questions, go back through the stream because he's explained a lot of the stuff that he does here. You should consider doing like a Gumroad or something, or a tutorial or something if you ever have the time. I don't know if you do or are even interested in that, but you have a strong following. It could be something really great, you know, for you. So I would suggest that.
Well,
Yeah, unless you already do, and I missed it somehow. So
no,
yeah, awesome.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, well, dude, thank you so much again for your time, and wishing you all the best. And everybody, let's give Vimal a big freaking high five, thumbs up. Super
But
amazing
man,
time. You did a great job, dude, and thank you very much again for staying up so freaking late. So, yeah, we'll catch you.
thank
We'll catch you on the
you.
next one, and yeah, take care and get some sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna sculpt some heads now.
Ah,
Then sleep.
man, you're addicted, dude. That's awesome. Cool. Well, good night, everybody, or goodbye, everybody. I don't know wherever you are in the world. You guys, thank you so much. Sorry for the late start. And Mache will be here tomorrow. Make sure you catch his live stream, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.